Sometimes the most important stories are hidden in plain sight, buried in data and spreadsheets. Well, today we're going to be detectives. We're going to uncover a financial mystery straight out of Ghana, where some amazing green buildings are doing everything right, but the market just doesn't seem to notice.
So let's get right to it. It sounds like such a simple question, right? You make a building more efficient, you save money on bills, so its value should go up. But by how much exactly? And does the market care about every green feature equally? Well, that's the puzzle we are diving into today. Okay, so our story is set on the campus of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, or CANSD for short, over in Kumasi, Ghana. I want you to just picture it. A whole mix of buildings, old and new, spread across this huge campus. It's actually the perfect real-world laboratory for what we're about to explore. So, first up, the green building puzzle. The campus has all these buildings with modern, energy-saving designs. The question is, does all that greenness actually show up on the balance sheets? Does it translate to real, measurable value? And here are the detectives in our story. A team of researchers from the university's very own Department of Land Economy. Their mission, which they chose to accept, was to dig into 31 different buildings on campus and figure out, once and for all, if sustainable design creates actual, tangible financial value. All right, Section 2, decoding the value. Now, to solve a puzzle like this, you need the right tools. I mean, think about it. How do you separate the value of, say, a low-carbon concrete slab from the value of the building's location or its size? It's tricky, but these researchers, they had a really clever plan. And their key tool was something called the EDGE standard. The best way to think of this is like a green report card for a building. It grades it on three main subjects: how much energy it saves, how much water it saves, and the carbon footprint of the materials used to build it. Okay, so this is where the real deep dive begins. First, they took that EDGE report card and graded all 31 buildings. Simple enough. Then they used some pretty smart statistical analysis to group similar green features together. And for the final step, they brought out the big guns, a powerful economic tool called hedonic regression. Now just think of it like a sound mixer in a recording studio. It lets you isolate one specific sound, like just the guitar, from all the other noise. In this case, it let them isolate the value of one specific green feature from all the other stuff, like the building's age or location, to see exactly what it was worth. Pretty cool, huh? So, moving on to Section 3, the surprising verdict. The data is in, the models have run, and the findings? Well, let's just say this is where our story takes a really unexpected turn. First, the good news. These buildings are the real deal. They are genuinely green. On average, they use almost 39% less energy than a typical building in Ghana. So this isn't just for show. We're talking about seriously high-performing structures. And this chart really just drives that point home. See that line? That's the 20% savings you need just to get certified by EDGE. And look, these buildings blew past that benchmark in every single category. So yeah, their green credentials, totally solid. And the market noticed, well, partially. The researchers found that energy efficiency, anything that directly lowers the electricity bill, was definitely rewarded with higher property values. The data was strong, it was clear, a definite win. But here it is. Here's the twist. When they looked for the value added by water savings or by using low-carbon materials, they found absolutely nothing. Zero. A big fat goose egg. All of that real, measurable environmental benefit was, financially speaking, completely invisible. Which brings us to Section 4, and a massive question. Why? Why is the market blind? How can it see the value in a lower electricity bill, but be totally blind to saving water or using sustainable materials? Well, the answer seems to be in the market's DNA. In places like the US or the UK, you've got these long-established green certification systems, tons of data, and valuers who are trained to see this stuff. But in a transitional market like Ghana's, those systems are still getting off the ground, which makes it way tougher to consistently put a price tag on these features. And here's the key takeaway from that. Without a formal, recognized certification system, property valuers just focus on what's easiest to count. And what's the most financially legible feature on a building? A lower utility bill. It's right there in black and white. The savings from water or better materials are just as real, but they don't jump off a spreadsheet in quite the same way. And this has massive real-world consequences. The researchers summed it up perfectly here. If there's no financial reward, why would a developer spend extra money on water-saving taps or low-carbon concrete? This market failure is a huge roadblock to climate resilience, not just in Ghana, but in emerging economies all over the world. So the market might be blind right now, but it doesn't have to be. And that brings us to our final section, teaching the market to see. This part is all about the solutions, how we can, well, teach the market a new way of seeing value. The study lays out this really powerful 4-part roadmap to fix this problem. First, you start at the top. Write sustainability directly into the national rules for property valuation. Second, you create transparency by making public buildings share their performance data. Step 3 is so important. Train a new generation of valuers who can actually speak this new economic language. And finally, you use places like KNUST as living labs to test and perfect all these systems. So when you boil it all down, what this entire investigation reveals is this critical lag. We have engineers and architects who are getting better and better at creating sustainable buildings. But the financial world, the world of economics, just hasn't caught up with the language to properly value what they're creating. And that really leaves us with one final thought. These green buildings in Ghana, they're communicating clear benefits. They're speaking a whole new language of efficiency and resilience. And the multi-billion-dollar question is, when will the market finally learn to listen to their full story?